another episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Well, broads, you know what? Here's the bottom line.
You're just gonna give it to us,
I'm gonna get right into it right now. The fact of the matter is that Mercury retrograde started like 2 days ago, and I literally said to myself, I said, Jessica, you're gonna have audio or video issues because that always happens. And I even got a little reminder from Jessica Lanyadoo via my Instagram where her little video popped up and was like, make sure you check on your technology. And in typical Mercury retrograde form, Becca and I had been recording this for about the past 35 minutes and realized the cameras were off the entire time.
Yeah.
So,
you know what happened yesterday?
My apologies to you that we have to now feign our natural enthusiasm.
No, it's okay. You know what happened to me yesterday? I was driving home from, I don't even know where I was driving home from, but I had like a meeting at a certain time. And I knew I had that meeting, and then I just got lost in La La Land. Then I look up. I mean, I had been looking at the road, but I like, ding, and you're like, whoa, hello. And I look, I'm 10 minutes late to the meeting that I was supposed to call into. Not only that, I have gone down, I'm driving down the 710 to Long Beach. I am now like practically in Orange County. I'm 20 minutes past my house. And I'm just like, what was I doing?
Well,
and then they were like, Mercury retrograde.
And today when you were driving here.
Today I was driving here, I was mapping. And okay, the reason you map in LA is because like you use this app called Waze because it'll give you like quicker, like in real time
when there's
traffic
crazy
directions.
Traffic, you have
They'll
to take
give you
little
weird
side streets. Yeah.
So I was on some side street and my phone died because I was talking about abortion on Instagram. And my phone died that I was like, fuck, where am I? Like, I don't know where I am.
I was saying, like, before we ever had phones or MapQuest, we're just kind of like, well, I guess I live here now on this new street until my phone charges if I can find a way to charge my phone.
I guess I could, could I try to find my way out? Never. I'll be driving around in circles forever.
I don't have one of those, like, camera things or directions on a panel in my car, so I would have just been lost in the world.
I went back into the Victorian era and I was able to actually plug in your address into my map GPS on my car, which
Thank
is
God
wild.
You knew my address by heart because then you wouldn't. Your phone would have
know it by heart,
but your phone would have been dead.
I know, but I would have just mapped something near your house because I know what's things that are near your house.
There's that.
You can also just like look on the actual map, and I think by my intelligent wit and compass, I think I could have found my way by the streets. My ex-boyfriend, he would find his way everywhere just by the map on his car, and I was like, oh my God, that's so impressive.
Honest to God,
our parents, that's the only way they got around.
When someone nowadays
can use a map,
or even just like has something fully memorized or goes, oh, I know that on 6th Street that cuts across from like, whatever, Lost. I have no idea about streets. I don't know. Like when someone knows that, I'm like, I am soaked to the core. Like that is so hot. When someone's just like, my girlfriend the other day was just like, oh, well, yeah, the cross streets are over here. So if we go down a couple more blocks, the cross street, whatever. And I'm like, I have never been more turned on in my life.
Well, Gray grew up in LA, and so he knows it like that too, where he was like, oh, on 17th, when you go, what, and you're like, whew. I'm sorry, what?
It's just like, do you want to do it in the back of the car right now?
Sexy? Did you just say?
Should we go to the back of the car? Should we pull over? Because I am turned on.
I had an ex-boyfriend who, okay, sorry guys, I swear we're not going to go on this tangent because you know what we're talking about today? The Kardashians!
The new show. The new show.
Amazing. Okay, so that's what we were talking about the last 40 minutes, but it's okay. I'm excited to talk about it again. I could talk about it for hours. But
it's our life now.
What I was going to tell you was my ex-boyfriend, he was so good at parallel parking where we would be in San Francisco at like, an incline where it's basic. In San Francisco, some of the streets are like basically vertical. You're like,
practically have to like rock climb up. Like I have to have like some sort of pulley system.
I'm like, am I wearing magnetic shoes? Like, how am I walking straight up this hill right now?
You just can't walk up them. You just can't.
So anyway, he would be able to see like a 7-foot parking spot on one of those, and he would be like zip, 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 and would pull his car into it so quickly, and I was just like, oh my God, you're so hot.
It's so hot when someone can quickly parallel park.
Someone who could drive well.
You know what? I'm going to put a list together at some point. I'm just going to start thinking about it. Is random turn-ons. I like
that.
Knowing
Remember
where
how
you
we
are.
were talking about with why can't I think of her name?
Nicoletta.
Yeah, your gas and your brakes. That's your gas. Sexy
gas,
drivers.
Yeah, someone who can parallel park well, someone who knows where they are without like phone directions, both massive turn-ons.
Do you know why? It's probably our biological instinct being like, you will protect me, you will save me.
Probably. But also another huge turn-on is someone who can like make a mean French press. Like someone who makes coffee like that.
Making coffee in a French press is so easy.
I don't fucking know anything. Look at this order.
French press.
Look at this order.
Let me break it down for you because I
mean?
didn't know either until Gray showed me. You just either have grounds or you just grind coffee beans with a grinder. You put the grounds in the thing, and you put hot water, and you just press it down to the bottom.
Listen, to me, I'll never do it, so it'll always be magic. When I see some hottie doing a French press, I'm just like, oh my God. Like if I were to wake up at someone's home and they were like, would you like a cup of coffee? And I would say, sure. And instead of a Keurig, they like busted out a French press. I'm like, we're going back to bed, honey.
I mean, I don't know how to use a regular coffee maker. So
well,
either.
I can do that
so
for
like,
ya.
I mean, wild. I don't know why everyone doesn't use French press. It's like so easy and superior. It makes it look fancy.
It's
and Jess will fuck you if you
I'll
use
have
one.
I will have sex with you. If you want me to, I will.
Okay, wait. Before we talk about the Kardashians, we got to have a word from our sponsors real quick.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think they cook with HelloFresh? I do.
I mean, if they're smart, they would. Okay, listen, we're going to talk about HelloFresh right now. It's the company keeping us full of delicious, healthy meals on the regular. HelloFresh is the meal delivery service that sends you farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes. They send them right to your door. Never again will you stare into the empty fridge wondering how you're supposed to make dinner appear out of thin air.
Ugh, unfortunately, I know that feeling very well. But since I've signed up for HelloFresh, okay, we get restaurant quality, healthy, flavorful meals in just minutes. And each week, this is the best part, they have so many options. You'll pick from over 50 different menu options, and then you just sit back and they do all the work.
No grocery shopping necessary. You get your box of ingredients along with super easy to follow recipe cards. And in as little as 20 minutes, you can have something amazing ready to eat. You really have to try out HelloFresh to believe it. It's that good.
Go to HelloFresh.com/chatty18, use chatty16, and use code chatty16 for up to 16 free meals. What? And 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/chatty16 and use code chatty16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts.
Okay, so we are going to be talking about the Kardashians.
Jess didn't want to watch it. She was resisting.
I was resisting because I was saying earlier, I was never a big keeping up with the Kardashian watcher. I just I have it on in the background. Sometimes
show sucked.
Well, it just wasn't my thing. It just, I got why people liked it, but I couldn't really get into it very well. But I would keep up via Instagram. And again, you can't avoid the headlines with these people. No. So I just knew kind of tidbits about them. But I would always talk out of my ass. I knew what I was talking about. I really didn't.
We always do.
That's what I do.
But hello.
Have you not figured this out?
Have you not been listening to our show? But with the Kardashians, okay, we found out yesterday when we were on a Zoom call with our agents. Yes, we have agents, guys. Bet you didn't know that. Suckers, we're big time. We were on the phone with them and they were saying that with the insider scoop in the industry,
it's not something that you can Google, I'm sure.
They were telling us, though, which was really interesting, that they hired a documentary filmmaker to make this season.
I mean,
and it shows.
It shows. This show is a flex and a half because it is so beautifully shot. I was so resistant. I was like, this is going to suck. Becca kept telling me, listen, I trust you. And this to me is a moment of shame for me as one of your best friends. I should trust when you tell me you need to watch this because you've never led me astray before.
Have I steered you wrong?
No, every time you've been watch this, read that. It's always fantastic. But this one I was just kind of I don't want to. I've just been watching RuPaul's Drag Race on the loop. Yeah. I'm not really in the mood.
Which, by the way, let us know if we should watch RuPaul's All Stars.
And recap a little bit.
I've never watched it. Let us know if you think we should do that. Okay, anyway.
The best. But I was just so resistant. I just was no. Just don't feel like watching it. You're like, let's talk about it. Please watch it.
You're hooked.
Minutes in, I'm texting Becca. I'm like, why am I crying? It's been 10 minutes. I am so hooked. It is shot so wonderfully. It doesn't feel set up at all. It feels genuinely like a documentary where the cameras are there. the moments where Kim looks into the camera. You had mentioned before the moment where
when Chris is on the phone with Kim, Kim says, come to my dressing room. Chris says, should we bring the cameras? And that was a big moment in the show where they're pulling back the fourth wall and bringing like, oh, this is a conversation where they have like, can we bring the cameras or not?
Honest to God, this
that's
is
interesting.
Like, honest to God, this is like the moment in Bachelor in Paradise when they started talking about followers. Like when Brendan and Piper started talking about followers, where you're like, oh, we're breaking the fourth wall. Like this is it the fifth wall? The fourth wall.
There's only 4 walls.
That's why I'm like, is it the fifth wall? Because
wall.
it's just like this imaginary wall.
No, the fourth wall is imaginary. So like in theater,
Yes.
you've only got 3 walls. There's the invisible fourth wall, and then there's the audience. So when you're breaking the fourth wall,
Sure.
I think it used to be a bad thing, right? Like you're not supposed to break the fourth wall.
You're not supposed to. And then I remember The Office for the first time was one of the ones where you had a show that was like spoofy doc style, where all of a sudden they'd look into the camera and Jim would have that moment, and everyone had chills because we've never experienced that before.
This is history.
And that was kind of like how the Kardashians, this new Kardashian show feels like. It feels like you're breaking that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm hooked now. So we're recording this episode Wednesday. So by the time that this comes out, there will have been a new episode that we've missed, unfortunately. But
I will be watching
we'll
it
be
tonight.
watching it tonight as well.
Well, I mean, I think there is something big too that the producer of this season. Okay, think about past seasons that you have watched. Usually it's like there's nothing going on. They're eating their salads. Maybe there's some manufactured drama where someone doesn't invite someone to the party, or like, oh, Chris is going to take care of a monkey for a day, whatever. Like it's just fucking.
Do you know what episode I did watch? I will never forget. It makes me cry to this day. Is when Chris wakes up and her lips are so swollen and they're trying to act like she didn't have a reaction to fillers.
Aren't they on vacation?
Yeah, they're on vacation and they're like, of course it had to have been a reaction to fillers. Like there's no way it was just her lips that got that swollen, right?
No, I mean, it could be fillers, but I would believe it if it wasn't. I've had 2 family and friends members. Did I show you my dad's eye?
No.
My dad, I don't even remember what happened to him, but my dad had something happen to his eye where he woke up one morning and it was like a cartoon. It was like so bulbous and swollen. And the same thing happened with one of our friends. I don't know, spider bite or something. The lip was all
just
swollen.
gigantic. It was just crazy because it was just her upper and like lower lip. And I'll never forget that. I rewatched that 10 times on a loop when all of a sudden she turns her eyes to the camera and the whole family's like, oh gosh. And her lips are wild.
See, that's gold. That's TV gold.
That was TV gold. Scott talking about, what's his name? Crane.
Todd Cranes. Yeah.
Todd
No. I mean, oh my God. No, I mean, those are classic moments.
Todd Cranes. There's some great moments that I have seen those that just killed me.
Yeah. But okay, what's something we said about this new season though is that they are also documenting like big moments in their lives. So, first and second episode are all about like Kim's SNL debut, which I thought it was really interesting how they showed so much behind the scenes into the rigorous schedule, into like you were talking about the Amy Schumer part where they're like going over the jokes together.
I'm obsessed with the Amy Schumer moment where you see them come together. Amy hear the jokes that she was throwing out. I think Kim is Kim. This is like president level famous. And Amy Schumer's famous, but not like Kim. And Kim's throwing the jokes out to her. And I was obsessed that Schumer was like, nah, no, not good. And shutting them down and just being straightforward with her. And then how Kim in turn took some of that, but then also was like, no, I'm going to stick with this.
Yeah.
And then they had their moment after at the SNL after party where they're like, hey, like it was that cool like respect moment of like, you told me how it is and I picked and choose what I wanted to, and I loved that moment. It was so good.
It made you kind of like Amy Schumer more too, huh?
Oh, totally.
You're like, all right, it's you, girl.
Totally. I loved it.
Yeah, that was just so interesting. I mean, you're seeing the whole behind the scenes of Kourtney and Travis's engagement, behind their IVF. Don't worry, we'll get into that.
That was like, I want to know your thoughts on Kourtney and Travis now after having watched the show.
Well, I'll say this right now. I hate them. I hated them. Now I hate them. I love them because they do seem happy and I'm happy for them. But also it's just like, the part that I hate is where I am just like, just stop fucking, why are you tonguing each other's throats like in front of your kids and the whole family at dinner? Like, come the fuck on.
I was obsessed with how the whole family was literally just like they would always say like, well, there they are making out again. Like, I love that. What I liked was that you're seeing that it's not just for the camera. Like, this is what they're like.
They're just annoying as fuck. Yeah.
Behind the scenes in front of the family where they're like, well, there they are making out in the back again after they get engaged. And Chris is trying to talk to them. She's like, can you guys stop kissing for 2 seconds? I have something to say. That's
how I feel.
Oh man. The show got me.
You adore them.
I was susceptible to the show and the wiles of the show. I'm like the two of them now. I am just like such a sap. I'm such a sap for them. But I also was then feeling really stressed out with like post the engagement with like the kids.
Okay. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that.
We'll get into that. But I'm a sap for them now, and I do have to say too, you know, I'll have to check to see if I can keep this in or not, because Evan sometimes isn't supposed to talk about clients, but he's worked with Travis quite a bit, and he always has said in the industry, he's like, there's no one as nice as Travis Barker. Like, he is the kindest, most wonderful, gentle person ever, and I feel like you can really see that on the show, and seeing then when Travis, the fact that he like went to Rob's Kardashian's grave.
Robert
Kardashian. Yeah, Robert Kardashian's grave.
It's like, Robert, get it right.
the right one, yeah. Not the son. But his grave to ask permission to marry Kourtney. Like, it was just so, I was a mess. I was sobbing. I was literally sobbing.
I know.
I was Chris and you were Corey coming in being like, are you crying again? And I'm just Chris just weeping about everything.
We're going to get into that in a second. But no, I also actually, what I did like and what, okay, so I have sort of seen the relationship and there's a jokey part that bugs me. But then there's also, I was sort of like iffy about them too. Cause I was like, this seems like potentially a little bit toxic. I don't know. Like really, like they're just really like intermeshed in their lives.
Right.
But I thought what was cool was like seeing the inside of all the family being like, we love him, we've known him forever, we trust him, we would trust like nobody else with Kim, you know, like that kind of thing. I thought was really cool to see.
Well, and then also too, I think there was the perspective of the fact that they've been really close friends for a really long time. So you obviously know I'm a sap for that because of Evan and I. Whenever someone's like, we've been friends for however many years,
like,
and then we had our moment, because I know the comfortability of that when all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel so safe with this person. They've seen me at my best and my worst in the safe space of just being a friend. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden when you realize that there's that love there, it's like the feeling is. And I participated in this with Evan, where we were the most annoying couple of all time for the first like 2 years of our relationship. I was always straddling him, making out nonstop. Our friends hated us because it was almost like that realization hit where you're like, oh my God, you've been in front of me this whole time. Like, but it's one of those things.
That makes me sick and nauseous.
It, honestly, Evan and I were sickening. And not in like the cool way, in like a gross way. And I feel so bad for our friends. I would like to personally apologize years and years later for the level of PDA that was expressed constantly.
Yeah, but I liked seeing the family, and you know, like it was cool to see their emotion too, like with Chloe and Chris and them being like, no, we co-sign fully on this relationship.
Well, and I keep forgetting that Kourtney and Scott weren't married, and that Kourtney's thing was always like, I'm not going to get married. So Chris having these moments where it's like, my oldest daughter is finally married. I'm dead, by the way. Kim's constant comments where she's like, you guys, let's be real. Marriages come and go. Like, it's not... She's like, kids together, but marriages. And I kept thinking about you because you always say that. And I loved how self-deprecating she was.
Oh yeah, she's totally like, well, I've been married enough times to go around for all of us, so whatever.
Like, she wasn't ever this excited about my weddings.
I know. I did have that moment just even as a sibling though, feeling it, of being like,
just like
towards Chris and being like, bitch, you're like sobbing over here, like you're so happy she's getting. Bitch, what? I definitely had that moment for Kim where I was like, has Chloe been married? Chloe hasn't been married. Was she married to Lamar?
I think they got married. This is how little I know
no
about
idea.
The past of the Kardashians.
Yeah, we know nothing, clearly.
I mean, now I will know everything because now I'm invested, but...
Like, I'm like, now I'm just like, is Kim the only one to get married? I'm so curious. Google it. Fact check real quick. Fact check it for us. Plug it into the computer. This is why if we had an AI, you know, it would be perfect. Our AI.
Where's
could just-
Dudesy?
Yeah.
Chloe was married to Lamar Odom.
Yeah, see, if I was Chloe too, I'd be like, bitch, you didn't cry like this when I married Lamar. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, this is something I want to talk about. Does it seem like... What is your take on Kris and Corey's relationship? What the fuck's happening there? Is he her personal assistant or like what's going on? It seems like she's given up on love.
I don't quite know. Because I also know that some people aren't organic in front of the camera. And some people's like senses of humor read a little differently. And I kind of get that maybe a little bit with him.
Because
I know
they're in love? Answer the question.
I don't know. I really don't know. I would tell you if I was like, yes, they're in love, or like, I don't think so. I think that, I don't know. Because I could see how their dynamic would really work.
Clearly it does.
And it seems like the whole family very much like cares about Kourtney and co-signs with Kourtney too. But yeah, I feel like the family though co-signs a little bit. So I'm like, or they seem to. So I don't know.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I'm sort of like,
No.
what's happening here?
I was a little bit thrown off when like she would be crying and he was like shutting it down. But I also think that might just be like the sense of humor that's just not reading directly. Like where I'm like.
No, I didn't have any problem with that. But I was just more like, why are they like together in this romantic pairing? Like what's happening?
Kris is having a good time.
Is she?
Kris makes me laugh so hard.
Oh, yeah, I like Kris. I like her because she has a good sense of humor too, where the girls will be just fucking with her and even saying things that are... There was a moment where I was just kind of like, oh, whoa, that's kind of mean. I don't remember what moment it was, but she took it like such a good sport.
Kris is so wild to me. Like this woman is like, how old is she? And she is just on
60s.
her phone doing deals 24/7.
Cracks me up how she's reading the headlines of the girls too. She's like, oh my God, Chloe. People are just saying that on Twitter are blowing up. Just love it.
And I was like, Kris, your daughter said she doesn't want to look on Twitter. Like, don't read her. She says she doesn't want to know.
I know.
She doesn't want to know what the public has to say. And she's like, let me just read you this. And you see Chloe's face just like, I don't want to hear anything. You know when you don't want to hear anything good or bad? You're like, I just don't even want to know that I don't even want to know that it exists, that it's out there.
I just don't want to think about people's opinions
on me in general. And Kris is just like, just 1 second. And then when they're at the dinner for before Kim's SNL performance, and she's just like on the phone, and Chloe's just like, Mom, get off the phone. Like the idea of having a parent who I'm the one telling them to get off the phone.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's either of us have that experience in our families.
No, I don't think most people do, where their parent is always on the cell.
Well, maybe if they're like a workaholic parent like Kris is.
That's what I'm saying. I guess like generationally, like unfortunately we probably are always on our phones, and our kids will be saying to us like, Mom and Dad, get off the phone. Yeah. But like parents who are like in their 60s, you know, or 70s even, you're like, how often are you like, get off your phone?
Yeah.
That just made me laugh so hard.
Yeah, they're funny.
She's just such a character.
Kris and Kourtney, I'm just like, what's happening there? And it also then, like, I mean, there was the part where she was crying about Robert, you know, she was just like, I think of him every day. And then she was crying for Kourtney, talking about their love. And I'm like, I just sort of get this sense that she's sort of like, giving up on love is strong. But I'm just sort of like, oh my God, Kris, like you could find like another love of your life too.
I know. I think maybe she had them.
She's like, I'm too busy for that shit.
And her children are the loves of her life.
Yeah.
You know?
Whatever. Anyway, all right. So,
I have a question for you about Kris before we move on from her. With all of the girls' businesses, you know, all of them have a business. There's the 818, there's Skims, Good American, there's all of the Kylie. Which one do you think she thinks is her like, oh, there, darling? Like which business do you think that like of all the girls that she's like secretly can't stand?
I mean, Kourtney's is like Poosh or whatever the fuck.
Oh yeah, Poosh.
So probably that one.
Poosh. I'm just thinking with all those businesses and she's so busy, you know Kris has to have one of the girls' businesses where she's just like, That sounds great, honey. Oh my God. Just one more thing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's got to be, well, I mean, Poosh is just an obvious because is that even bringing in money? I don't know. But the other one that I would say would be my mind went to Skims. I don't know why.
Really? You think Skims?
I think Skims is
Isn't
doing
Skims
great.
$1 billion?
Probably. I think Good American's doing great too.
Yeah,
I think Kylie is too.
I think they all do really well. But I just
Poosh questionable. Maybe Rob's stock company.
818 I think that probably does well. The tequila.
I don't know if it does well. Who fucking knows?
I just have this vision of Chris being just so
She's like, oh honey, I don't have time
exhausted and getting 1 billion emails a day. And then when she sees like whatever one it is email pop up where she's like, oh my God.
No, I think Chris is optimistic. Like you remember even in the old episodes where like, Kim would get a Skechers commercial or something, and she'd be like, honey, you got Skechers. This is great. Let's do it.
It's true.
No, people are loving it. I feel like she's like positive that way.
It's true.
Okay.
It's true. She loves the job.
Let's talk about the first 2 episodes because we briefly went over it, but the SNL thing, we've got to talk about this moment. First, before we do, should we get a word from our sponsors?
Yes, let's get a quick word for our sponsors. And honestly, talking about the SNL moment, talk about giving me anxiety. My anxiety was through the roof. You know what helps my anxiety? Feals, honey. Feals is incredible. It helps my anxiety and my sleeplessness.
Oh my
okay,
God,
when I
yeah.
started using Feals, it helped my anxiety go down. It helped me with those sleepless nights. I wasn't just spending every single night staring at the ceiling. I could actually sleep.
Feals Premium CBD is a better way to feel better. Not only does it work wonders on sleeplessness, but it has also been proven to greatly reduce anxiety and even chronic pain. If you've never used CBD before, I know it can feel a little bit daunting getting into anything for the first time, but the most important part is finding the proper dosage. That's really, really easy thanks to Feals CBD Hotline. You get real human support that's going to guide your process with CBD, and they're going to make sure you get all the amazing benefits of Feals and make you feel confident moving forward.
Whenever you feel like it, just place a few drops of Feals CBD underneath your tongue, and in just minutes, you'll start to feel relief. I always have some Feals in my purse.
I keep their mints in my bag.
Yes, the mints are amazing. I have some of the drops in my purse. The amount of times that it has calmed my anxiety, it's my little secret weapon. I just drop it or pop one of those mints when I'm out. Bada bing, bada boom.
Start feeling better with Feals. Become a member today by going to feals.com/chatty. You're going to get 50% off your first order with free shipping too. That's FEALS.com/chatty. You can become a member and get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. That's feals.com/chatty.
So access to reproductive health care has become unnecessarily complicated and honestly confusing, which is insane, okay? But you know what? Friend to friend, we're going to let you in on a little secret. The easiest, least complicated way to get your birth control that doesn't require a doctor's visit or an hour in line at a pharmacy is with Favor.
Favor, which you might have previously known as the Pill Club, which we talked about so many times in the past. We love them. They carry over 120 FDA-approved brands and ship to all 50 states. And most brands of birth control are free with insurance or Medicaid. Otherwise, prices start as low as $7 a month without insurance. And Favor delivers birth control to your door for free and discreet packaging, along with other self-care gifts and goodies. It's really that simple.
And just as if you were seeing your regular doctor, if you have questions about your birth control or are interested in switching brands or prescriptions, Favor's licensed medical team is there to walk you through it all, and they're just a text away. To get started, all you need is 5 minutes, no lengthy office visit or waiting time at the pharmacy, just super simple access to birth control you want, which is the way it should be.
And right now, when you go to heyfavor.com/chatty, Favor is offering a $10 donation to bedsider.org to every Chatty Broads listener who becomes a patient. And your donation will help low-income individuals get access to birth control through bedsider.org. That's heyfavor.com/chatty to get your first birth control care package and donate to help more women in need of affordable birth control. Remember, that's heyfavor.com/chatty, and you have to use that link for the donation to be made. All right, so
Okay. So you're saying SNL.
Okay. So in the first episode, we see that Saint's playing like on Roblox or whatever, and then
Yes.
there's like I guess like a little ad popped up on the screen, and it was like emoji with Kim crying. I don't even know what Roblox is. Did your kid play Roblox?
No, but the youth plays it.
The youth, yeah, I don't know what that
I
is.
think more than just the youth, but I think it's just a pretty popular
Like
online
blocks,
game. By the
I
way, we
get-
sound so ridiculous to people, so many people right now who like Roblox is life. Sorry, I don't know anything
I'm like,
about
is it blocks? Is it like Minecraft?
I have
like,
no idea.
I don't know.
No, I have no idea.
Anyway, so I didn't even get when they're like, mommy popped up on the screen. I'm like, what is this?
What
Is
is
an
this
ad? Is it
thing?
part of the game? I don't freaking know.
I think it's an ad on the
Okay.
game. So I'm pretty sure it's like your typical online games where like advertisements will pop up.
Okay, so this little emoji of Kim crying and it said like Kim's unreleased sex tape. He went up to her and was like, look, mommy, it's you. And then she was like, unreleased sex tape? What? What are your thoughts on that? What do you think that was?
Oh, I just was like, the level of anxiety as a parent when all of a sudden, like, I mean, you're just like, dude.
And then you're also with all the family.
That's what I'm saying. You're like and,
you're trying to enjoy your day.
And here's the thing. I understand that Keeping Up with the Kardashians had situations all set up.
Of course.
Which this is also happening, I'm sure, with the show to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that the docuseries is filmed, it makes me believe that it might have truly happened in real time. Like I believe it. And the stress of also then dealing with what was going on in the midst of her SNL performance, like, I'm sorry, but there's just like no way with that crossover that like this was happening in real time.
Well, also like sometimes like reality is stranger than fiction. I just know with like reality producer friends where they're like, dude, okay, remember on Pete's season when his date with Victoria Fuller and the guy that she had slept with was the one performing on their date?
Yep.
Like I know from a producer that was purely coincidental. However, they did put her on the date.
Right. They found out their connection.
Their connection. Yes. But still, like the odd was like, and even Kendall on my season, there was a guy that she had dated before that performed at another date. So like, anyway, it's like, sometimes situations they just happen.
Well, when that popped up, I just felt a pit in my stomach. Oh. You're with the family, you're having a moment. And this was like, it appeared to be their first time, at least that's how they were making it seem, their first time filming again together post their long break. And if I was Kim, I'd be like, this is how it's starting. Uh-huh. Like, we're all getting together to have like a conversation and a dinner, and we think the biggest hot topic will be the fact that no one invited Scott, and now this is popping up on Roblox. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I just felt anxiety. It's just that feeling of when you feel like you've moved forward from something in your life, and then it just comes back. You think you're good for years, and you're just like, really, this? And you're like, are you kidding me?
Okay, and then there was, which by the way, I have a lot of interesting tidbits to talk about this whole situation. This will be fun.
Oh my gosh!
But okay, and then also there's the moment before SNL, and we were going all on and on about this in our last recording that delayed.
It was a good bit too. God damn it, it was a good bit.
But I still want to repeat my curiosity. So Kanye shows up saying that he flew on coach to LA back to New York. What we need to know. What does it mean when an A-list celebrity flies coach?
Please, flight attendants, slide into the DMs. Post under the fucking Instagram thing. What does this look like? Because we were talking about there's no way that this is not a wild frenzy.
I mean,
you are on a casual flight going somewhere, and all of a sudden, like let's say Kylie Jenner walks in and sits right next to you in coach.
Oh my God.
And not everyone is pulling out their phones, bombarding this woman.
And here's the other thing, like, this is a random celebrity that just came to mind, but then there's celebrities like Sofia Vergara. Let's say if she was on my flight, I'd be like, oh my God, but
oh my God, it's Sofia.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I'm getting fun over there. But there's like
slowly making your way from seat to seat. Can I sit here real quick? Oh, just sorry. It's my baby. I just got to get to the front. Scooching, slowly making your way to Sophia.
But like, that's a celebrity. I'd be psyched to see her. But then like Kanye is in that other elite of celebrities like the Kardashians, where massive, wild, rabid fans who will do anything to like be near them or to touch their coattails.
Well, and it's even like, it's the level of celebrity where like, even if you're not a massive fan,
you're like, oh my God.
You're like, I have to stare and I have to get to them. Like the other day I was out eating dinner with a girlfriend, and I walked up to the restaurant, which is normally like you freely walk into, lined with security, lined everywhere. I'm like, what is going on? And I walk by the table. We had to get like checked beforehand. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Walked by the table, and there's Bill Gates sitting and eating with someone. And I had a moment.
Oh, that's big.
Where I'm like, I need to stare at this man the entire, and I'm not a starer. Like, we're out. I mean, it's LA. You see people all the time. Yeah. Like, try not to just sit there and just ogle someone, but you're like, this
Okay,
is Bill Gates.
Yeah,
I need to see everything that this human being is doing.
That's the kind of celebrity where you're like, that's a celebrity.
And that's what, this is the level the Kardashians, Kanye, like this is, it's massive.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Look, I've been on a plane with Ray J before. Definitely not the same experience as if Kanye was on the plane.
Have you really?
Yeah, got a picture with him.
Oh my God.
Which I'm going to bring him up in just a minute. But
I told you I was before when we were recording, but it got deleted. I was on a flight and I ran onto the flight, knocked into Viggo Mortensen at the height of his Lord of the Rings
Sexy
career.
daddy.
I was baffled.
But people weren't making
stunned.
a big deal of it.
No, but I was saying too, the way that the flight was, he was sitting in first class. I was not. They definitely shoved the the drapes closed on me as I was trying to make a little ring-sized hole to check out my Lord of the Rings daddy through the curtains. But he was privately in first class. But I was shocked there wasn't more of a stir.
Right.
I'm like, again, in the height of his Lord of the Rings career, I'm like, it's Aragorn.
That's Viggo.
It's Aragorn, people.
He's so hot. Anyway, so but yeah, I mean, like, that's where I'm like, what are the logistics of this?
I don't know. I don't understand
get it. But I was saying, like, you know, it's COVID mask, so you could like have a mask and a face shield, and literally no one's gonna know who you are if you don't open your mouth. I
just feel like, again, someone of that fame, even if you're fully covered, one person on the plane whispers to the next person, "That's Kanye," and the whole plane is chanting.
He was practically in riot gear too. He's like, "This is my flying coach outfit." And you're like, "That's not subtle at all."
No. It's like Yeezy top to bottom. You're like, what's going on? Anyone at that level of celebrity is on the plane. People, even if they're fully masked, someone figures it out and telephone around the
you know what's funny? Like, I bet you could play it off. Like, I bet if he wore like a kind of oversized white t-shirt, wore sort of like baggy dad pants, and like a pair of like old, you know, Adidas's or something, and wore like some glasses with a face shield and a mask, I bet no one, like some wire rimmed glasses, I bet no one would know.
I say I agree with you, because
and like some beat up like leather briefcase,
someone like that. But again, I'm also the type of person who posts an Instagram photo and would never notice what's in the background of my picture. Yeah. And like, then everyone notices it.
See, I would have fun though if I was an A-lister. Like, I would try to get away with like my subtle disguises.
For sure.
And just do a subtle little voice like, "Oh, I'll have the orange juice, please."
Your
the flight attendant
accent.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that I used to try to dress up like an A-lister when I was like 11?
Oh yeah, well, that's pretty easy to do. You just have like a little hoodie, you have your sunglasses.
I would walk around the mall with a baseball hat, jeans, sweatshirt, and sunglasses as like an 11-year-old. And I'd be walking around with my dad, and he'd be like, "Dad, everyone thinks I'm famous here." And my dad's like, "For the love of God, Jessica. You're 11. Like, I thought I was so hot. I'm like, "Oh my God, everyone is looking and everyone thinks I'm famous." And he's just like, "You're 11. Nobody's looking at you. You're with your dad, you idiot."
Oh man, that's
just
funny.
Like, this is my moment, walking to Limited 2.
Like, I'm stepping out, baby.
So embarrassing.
Okay, so he shows up. Kim calls Chris. "Come to my room." "Can I bring the cameras?" "Yes, bring them." This was such an emotional moment.
I was bawling.
It was so emotional too, because it was like, I think it was like this relatable feeling where like, damn, like they're going through this shit. She was already talking before, like, Kanye's coming, he's staying in a different hotel, I've set boundaries. But then like, still this person like doing this thing for you that like means so much in the moment, is that was just like emotional for me. And I felt like I just knew that feeling, even just with like exes in general, of like, man, you're showing up for me and showing how much you care about me, even though we're going through this.
And just her like sobbing in relief, and just that feeling of like, we've all had this in our lives, even not like, you know, regardless of whether
we've all had unreleased sex tapes floating around.
No, but I mean, honest to God, I'm even thinking about like the random, you know, nude that I sent to someone when I was 22, when Evan and I were broken up. And I think about it sometimes, like, what if one day, I mean, we all have these things where we're like,
I got a lot of
everything,
shit
but everything
around.
floats around,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so when there's something like that has literally dictated her life, and there are so many people out there who have the whole narrative of they released it themselves, and her saying that it's not true. Imagine like all of the layers of that. Like, I want to be over this with my life. I have kids now and I don't want this to affect them in that way because this was not something that was released with my consent. People have all these rumors about me. It's always there, floating, and all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That relief of like, close the chapter.
Yeah.
Oh,
he shows up with the computer, the hard drive, everything in this like janky suitcase.
It was full blown, like, it looked like Mission Impossible.
Seeing Chris's little quips too, where she was like, I'm going to have you. She's like, I'm going to have you negotiate like my next deal, whatever.
Chris is always working.
Yeah, I know. And it was kind of interesting to like pull back the curtain and kind of see just even the family dynamic of like, you know, they know all the shit that's going on, but to just kind of see things play out was kind of like interesting.
And by the way, I said this when we recorded before, so I don't think I've said this already in this episode, but we are having Amanda, aka Not Skinny But Not Fat, on the podcast in a couple weeks, who did the Kim Kardashian interview, which was amazing. And then also, was there and interviewed them for their Hulu show. So I'm so excited to hear like her behind the scenes moments.
Also, in a little bit, we're having Mystic Michaela on to talk about auras. She's an aura reader, and have her read all the auras of all the Kardashian folk we're talking about. So it's a fun Kardashian episode.
And honest to God, we know that there's a lot of strong feelings about the Kardashians, and a lot of people can't
I have strong feelings of them too.
But I do have to say, you know, regardless of how you feel about the Kardashians, it's the show's well made. Yeah. And it really locks you in. And I am kicking and screaming going into it. And now I am really enjoying the episodes.
Well, did you know about this shit with Ray J though?
Okay, yeah, so tell me.
Do you know about this?
I think I saw a little like posts.
So when that episode aired, because Kanye said he met up with Ray J, got the stuff from him. Ray J tweeted, "All of this is a lie. SMH can't let them do this anymore. So untrue." Now then, he did an interview in the past week. Get this. I've sat in the shadows for over 14 years, allowing the Kardashians to use my name, to abuse my name, make billions of dollars over a decade and a half, talking about a topic I've never really spoken about, he told the Daily Mail. The singer and reality TV star says he's never had copies of any of the tapes they made together, and says their infamous sex tape was released like an album by Kim and her mother. "I've never leaked a sex tape in my life," he said. "It's never been a leak. It was always a deal and a partnership between Kris Jenner and Kim and me, and we've always been partners since the beginning of this thing." Ray J says he pitched the idea to Kim, who got on board and enlisted her mom's help. They all signed a contract with porn distributor Vivid Entertainment, which released the tape, but Ray said he had little to do with the process. "She kept them all," he says of the footage. "She had to go find that tape and then present it to Vivid Entertainment. I never had a tape in my possession in our whole relationship. I had never had a single one in my house. She had them at her house. She's always had them in tapes in a Nike shoebox under her bed." He said,
a Nike shoebox. So specific.
He said during the interview, he also provided screenshots of a conversation between him and Kardashian about scenes from her new reality show. He questioned the comments the California native made. I didn't catch this, but I guess she made a comment about like the tape could potentially be footage of her when she wasn't awake.
Yes,
I didn't catch that.
She made a comment in it. Yeah.
But Kardashian said that she was joking in her texts. She also offered to put out a statement making it clear she wasn't trying to involve Ray J in the situation on screen. And then he went on saying like, "Dude, I have kids. Like, I have young kids. I want to clear my name of this. I was never involved in the release of this." And I'm like, oh shit, what's the truth?
I know. What I mean,
I just don't even know, because in his interview, I just don't know, because I've heard her side and I've heard his side, and I'm both like, what? I don't know what to think.
I mean, I'm Vivid Entertainment is who could come out if like they signed it,
right?
That would be the only. I mean, would that be the only person who could really like? I don't say know. Outside of it being hearsay.
I don't know.
Just being like, yeah, they signed it.
Isn't that crazy though? Because that's two very different narratives.
I'm curious with Ray J now coming out and saying that if like he's about to deal with like some serious lawsuits on his hands.
Well, he can't get any lawsuits if he's not lying. Maybe they can send a cease and desist. That's kind of what celebrities do.
I was going to say it could be a cease and desist.
It could be a cease and desist, but like if he was saying that like she's lying and she has it in his possession, as we're seeing with defamation lawsuits, they would have to, first of all, they would have to prove that they lose any money from him making those statements. And I don't think that they're going to lose any money from him claiming that they were all plotting it. So don't think so.
Wild.
But yeah, so I read that and I was like, ooh, shit.
Wild. I'm like, you just got on the next season of the Kardashians that they're filming currently, I'm sure right now.
Well, that's actually what was kind of crazy too, is he was saying like a lot of the footage and photos and videos on that hard drive, which when she watched it, she said, you know, like, oh, it's just like us going to this club, whatever. It was nothing. But he was like, yeah, no, it's like, he said it was photos and videos and emails like that show that like we have been keeping in contact like up through like 2008, 2009, like these when we were already broken up, and like she doesn't want to like come clean with the fact that like we've been in contact like since we broke up.
That would be such a weird thing to keep on like
a hard drive.
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing though is strange.
That's so wild.
And then also that Kanye said that he didn't like pay anything. He just like got it. So then I'm like, is this manufactured where Ray J's like, I don't fucking care. Take the fucking computer and the hard drive.
Well, no, I wouldn't think that if that was the case, if that was like his evidence that there's been stuff going back and forth, like I don't think he would willingly be like, here, take it.
Well, and I don't think he said it was evidence. He was just sort of like, well, like facts don't, he was saying like facts don't lie, that like we've been in contact is all. And that like we have a good, like we've had a good rapport with, he was saying like we've had a good rapport with each other. Not that he was keeping that evidence of the rapport, but sort of like we've been cool. Like
it would just be weird though. Why would he be keeping that if it wasn't it wasn't him trying to I don't know if I'm making sense, but
no, I get what you're saying, but like I don't think he was trying, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think he was trying to use it as evidence. That's what but then that's interesting. So it's like, why would he hand it over to Kanye without, like, unless Kanye maybe threatened, was like, I'll destroy whatever semblance of a career you have left if you don't hand this over, that kind of thing. I don't know. But he said all of this is a lie, SMH. So I'm like, what's a lie?
What is going on?
I don't know. But this is where it's a TV
series, kind of, right?
I don't know, but I found all of that very interesting, and I'd be hearing to know more. And I thought it was interesting too, though, that they were going back and forth, that she and him were texting about that whole thing. And she's like, oh, I'll apologize if you want me to. And like, it's very interesting. Okay. 2 more things I think we should talk about before we get into the auras. Let me know if you want to add anything to it. We should talk about Khloe and Scott's conversations. Yes. And then I also want to talk about, and which, while we're also on it, I thought that was just like a really interesting conversation too, hearing Kim and Khloe talk about her relationship and talking about being like, you know, interesting to see behind the scenes of like Kim finding her identity post-divorce, finding out what that looks like, even down to like choosing outfits and stuff, like figuring out how she's going to run her own life now with a new identity.
Yeah, I really appreciated that conversation. I just feel like there are so many conversations on the show that with the last show, it just felt so different. And I was talking to you earlier about how one of the conversations that I appreciated so much was when we saw Khloe having so much anxiety about having to, or going in front of a audience for the first time in a while, and the James Corden pep talk, which I want that on loop playing constantly. That was such a good pep talk. But to kind of see this like behind the scenes moment of somebody who has like a billion followers being so anxious, and like living in that anxiety a little bit. It was just such an interesting, like, I don't know, really like vulnerable moment that we saw.
Totally.
That was also then different. We saw Kim being nervous about SNL, but it was a different moment than like the rest of the girls. Like I like how the way that they're doing these different narratives where you're seeing like these different pieces of their life, and like that this is kind of, obviously they're showing Tristan and Khloe and kind of their relationship dynamic a little bit, which I thought was really interesting too, by the way. I feel like the only thing that I've ever seen with like the Khloe Tristan situation is just headlines, but like him cheating again, her taking him back, and then seeing them kind of sitting on the couch together and talking about, you know, her being like, yeah, you fucked up so much, and like, we're not together right now, and we're both in therapy, and you're in therapy, and we're doing couples therapy.
I liked them together. I liked Tristan. Like, I feel like we've only seen headlines, and I was like, oh, like I see a surprise, a real human being.
Well, that's the thing. It's like again, I know really nothing of their relationship, so I don't feel like I can be like, well, this is the dynamic. But that's all I've seen was headlines, and so I'd always kind of been like, what's the deal with the two of them? But then when you saw their dynamic, I'm like, I get why. Like,
they have a daughter together.
They have a daughter together.
They build together.
And, you see, I don't know, when you see someone who's so anxious about the public coming at her and is also dealing with someone who has been having affairs, and they're trying to see if they want to work things back out, and they're going to therapy alone and weekly together. And then being so nervous to go on the show to hear people's opinions and like how intense that would be. Just how do you even navigate? And when you're someone super sensitive, right? Like, how do you even navigate what you want versus what everyone around you, the millions of voices, are telling you to do, or what their opinions are?
Well, I thought that was interesting too, them being like, Chloe, you were the one in the past who didn't care, who would say anything. Like, now you care so much about what other people think. That made me sad too. Where I was like, oh, it's kind of like dampened her spark, because she was always like the one that was like,
she was
so
always the kind of like, fuck you,
feisty, and
you wonder like what it was that changed that a little bit. Like, what, was it the infidelities? Was it, whatever it was, where then people had all their opinions about her? Well,
you also mentioned that when they started the show, when you and I were talking earlier, that when they started the show, there wasn't really social media. It was gossip tabloids and blogs.
That's the thing.
But now that's the other thing. Yeah. She has a totally different direct access to her followers than she did in the past.
Right. Like, maybe beforehand when there'd be like a photo of her in a magazine, like that would be really fucking hard.
Yeah.
But when people now have access to comment on like all of her photos.
And but this is also the thing. She's also looking at them, She's like, I'm worried about what the comments are going to be if I post this photo. Uh-huh. I'm like, girl, come on, you're Khloe Kardashian.
And I'm also too, I'm like,
and it's relatable.
It's relatable, but I'm also just like, Khloe, you're set for life. Just get off of Instagram. It shows kind of this like really intense.
But there's also the keeping up with the Kardashians aspect, in terms of keeping up with Kim, keeping up with Kylie, keeping up with Kendall, keeping up with Kourtney.
It's that piece of, though, it's so like, I thought it was just such a good picture of like our society as it is, where it's like, when is it enough? Like, you are set up for forever. You're always going to be loaded. Like, you are good. You have a show now, like back again, so people will be seeing you. Uh-huh. Get off social media.
I know.
But then there's that feeling of like, but I can't, because I got to post about this for Good American, or I got to post about this.
I mean, we could technically get off social media. I know. But do we?
No. And there's so many days where I'm just like, I'm off. I'm not doing it anymore.
And but
then you're kind of like, yeah, but then I'll miss this.
Am I missing out?
But then I can't post about this, and this is my job and my business, and da-da-da. And woo! A tangled web, my friends.
A tangled web. But okay, so Khloe and Scott's conversations were really kind of sweet. Although it was weird how he was hitting on her, even joking. I was like, ew, stop.
I know. I was like, don't. Scott.
He looks so downtrodden, dude.
I know.
Not even just about Kourtney. Like, you could just tell he's at a point in his life where he is.
Did you see that he was spotted out with Corinne?
Oh, I did.
From The Bachelor? From Nick Viall's season? Sleepy Corinne?
Oh.
What?
No, I'm not saying that's a low because like I like Corinne. I'm just like, dude, stop dating these like, just stop.
I mean, I guess she's more age appropriate.
I suppose, yeah, it's true. Just, oh, honey.
I know.
Oh, honey. Get some help. What's the Michael Jordan clip where he's like, stop it. Get some help. My favorite clip ever. Stop it. Yeah. Get some help. Get some help, Scott.
This dynamic, though, you want to talk about making me cry? This Kourtney, Scott, Travis, kids, family dynamic.
It's like a dagger to the heart.
I cried multiple times, like out of sadness.
That shit was sad.
I cried multiple times out of pure sadness.
That was sad. That was really. really sad.
It was one of those moments where it's like in the midst of all this like ridiculous wealth and like something that you can't even wrap your brain around. You're like, this is a piece that is so relatable for so many of us, whether you're the kid of a divorced family, whether you're walking through a divorce yourself, a friend of yours is, like the amount of layers to it.
Okay, so let's get into this. So they have their engagement now. The details on this were murky, and Scott brings up a good point where he's like, okay, they didn't get engaged in fucking Italy. This was 50 minutes away. It's Santa Barbara. We're in Calabasas. Why weren't the kids there?
So Travis proposes to Kourtney, and all of the family is invited, and Kris apparently makes the call. Travis's kids are invited because they're older, but Kris apparently makes the call.
She said it was like too complicated. Like, I don't remember why. She was like schedules,
with
whatever.
The younger kids to have Kourtney's children there.
I'm like, whatever. Have a fucking driver go pick them up. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I didn't get that. She said, she made a comment that it was like too complicated with schedules.
I understand that this is my thing. I understand the complicated piece, not of the schedules. I understand the complicated piece of like
navigating emotions of young children.
Of Travis is trying to keep this a surprise for Kourtney.
Yeah.
And if you tell the kids beforehand, then it's not Kourtney telling the kids, it's someone else telling the kids. And then the kids can't tell Kourtney, and they probably would. That's where a little bit I'm like, and then if they just show up, the kids are probably going to be emotional, and it's going to be like, I get that, but...
Okay, here's how I would solve it. I would say, Travis, you're going to propose on this day. Tell Kourtney you have to run an errand, whatever. Come over to the house. The kids are going to be over here. Tell them that you love their mommy so much that you want to ask her to be a part of your family forever. To be a part of his family forever, and you guys too, or whatever.
Do you feel like that's overstepping though, because she hadn't said yes yet? That he's bringing that up to young kids.
They had already been talking about they were trying to have a baby already though.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
So that he knows that she's already in it with the commitment for them. It might be overstepping, but I still think that someone, I understand the feeling of Kourtney wanting to do it, but maybe just telling them like, he's gonna ask your mommy like, and even just asking them, do you want to come with us?
Yeah, I think the kids should have been asked. Like, do they want to participate?
Do you want to come with us? Do you want to see it?
Especially some of them. They're not like, some of them are a little older,
and
right?
And then also even another person, whether it's grandma or one of the aunts or whatever, to explain to them the stuff that then Penelope was getting emotional about. But like, no, daddy's still going to be a part of your life. Your mommy and daddy still always love each other. You know, just something.
I'm going to start crying. The Penelope call. I couldn't handle it.
That shit was brutal.
I think even maybe Travis having a conversation with Scott privately before he says anything to Kourtney. Be like, hey man, I know that there's weirdness between us, but here's the thing. I'm planning on asking Kourt to marry me, and you're the father of the children, and so I wanted to talk to you about it. I was wanting to surprise Kourtney and propose. How would you feel the most comfortable?
That would be such an amazing gesture to the ex.
Right. And how do you think, how would you feel the most comfortable? And how do you think Kourtney, because you know her so well, would feel the most comfortable when it comes to your children?
That would be such a win, because not only would it be getting like actual insight on how to handle shit with the kids, but also like so much respect to the ex. Like,
yeah, because this is the father.
Yeah.
Who's still very much involved.
That also makes me think like, yeah, they were kind of tiptoeing around it because they were like, Kris, that was maybe kind of a flub on her part. And Kris was coordinating everything. But like, I did get Scott's point when Chloe and him were talking after, where they were just like, so no one spoke up and said like, hey, let's get the kids in the car and bring them over. I was on his side with that, where I was like, okay, come on. Like, why isn't even after the proposal, why isn't anyone saying like, hey, do you want to ask the kids if they want to come celebrate with everyone?
If Travis would have talked to Scott, it could have been such an amazing dynamic to like move forward and like a relationship together. Because I don't even think then, I mean, obviously Kourtney has boundaries at this point with Scott in the relationship, but that I don't think that would be Travis crossing any boundaries to contact Scott, because it's Scott and Kourtney's children.
Or even asking Kris to contact Scott. Even Travis
Right.
asking Chris
Right.
and be
Someone
like, hey,
saying, can you talk to
can you
Scott?
reach out to Scott and ask
tell
him
him
how
that this is what I'm planning on doing and like how he thinks this is going to be best handled with his children.
Yeah.
And like how Kourtney would feel too. Like what's best for the kids? How would Kourtney feel?
Well, because obviously Kourtney was like, you know, she's excited with the engagement. Obviously she was bummed. She was like, why didn't anyone make sure my kids are here?
I mean, you could tell that it was like she's so in love, clearly. She's so happy to be with Travis, but I mean, she was clearly upset.
I'd be so fucking pissed at my
And
family. I'd just be like,
and the fact that she right away went and she's like, I need to go call my kids. And like you could just see her trying to keep it together.
Well, and Scott,
when the kids like wouldn't pick up and like Penelope hung up.
Well, and Scott said, didn't Scott say that the kids saw it like online?
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Oh, I mean it's so upsetting. Like I said, that's what I was like bawling. I couldn't get over it. I couldn't stop thinking about if like Evan and I got a divorce and then like that's how Ember. That's
horrible.
Like,
that's horrible. Or even imagine with your parents. Imagine if you found out that one of your parents was re-engaged and you found out online.
That would be so wild.
It'd be devastating. Anyway, so
I'm like, I remember I talked about this on the podcast before. I'm like, Evan found out before I did that my dad was leaving my mom, and I have raged ever since. And this was with just interpersonal family stuff, let alone
not the whole world finding out that your mom's engaged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not great.
No.
Not great.
I just want to know. I'm just like, what was everybody thinking? What was Chris thinking?
I don't know. She keeps saying like, well, they're young, and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah,
not giving kids enough credit age-wise. And
Straight
they're really
up.
not that. I mean...
And again, like you said, have a conversation, you know, like, why can't you just have a conversation beforehand?
And what's their oldest son's name? Like, he's not that
Mason?
young. Mason?
No, isn't he like 11?
Yeah, that's...
Let's look it up right now.
How old is Mason and Penelope?
I love that we're going into all this. Okay, Kourtney and
they're
Scott.
not that. I'm like, my kid recently put 2 and 2 together about my parents' divorce. We had never mentioned that Mimi and Papa used to be married, and I found out that my kid had figured it out years ago. She was like, yeah, they used to be married. Now he's married here. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that you put that together because they're never together when you see them.
I mean, Rain's 7, so still young, but not. I mean, it's a year older than Ember. Like, and then Penelope's 9 and Mason's 12.
12?
Yes.
Oh no.
Which, by the way, okay, now we're getting into it.
No. Aren't Travis's kids
Alabama's kid's 16.
16. That's a 4-year age difference? No. What is going on here?
We need to have a word.
We need to have a conversation with Chris.
No, but for real. And they were talking, I think Scott said that. They're like, how do you think my kids feel like knowing that his kids are there? Like, what the fuck is that? I would be pissed. I felt, okay, granted he got into petty mode where he was just like, that's fine. She's so hard to deal with. He'll have to deal with that. I'm glad she's not my problem anymore.
But I'd be pissed.
All of his feelings of that, I would be like, what the fuck? Why are his kids there and not my kids?
Because also, like, let's be real, likely he was watching the children when he got the call. When the kids got the call, they're probably coming to him, they're bawling. And then you're starting off on this foot where it's a little bit like his kids are there and we're not there. So what's going to happen to us, like attention wise, or like, is he our new daddy?
Right.
Like
or is it like, or it's her attitude, like, bye, new family.
Right. Or like, oh, like are those her kids now? Like she's not, yeah, there's so many intense emotions going on, especially with a child.
Oof. Well, and then you sort of wonder too, like, and I'm not making a judgment like bad parent, but I'm curious about people's like thought process. Like, I know that Kourtney and Travis, or they said that they'd been trying to have a baby. So I'm like, how much has been explained to the kids kind of like of Travis's role in their life and kind of like breaking that down for them, you know? Because it seems like maybe they have had those conversations, of course, like the wedding thing is a new thing.
Maybe they had already told the kids that, you know, Mommy and Travis are planning on getting married soon. Like maybe they'd even talked about that. And like the engagement wasn't like a full blown surprise for her. There was like some idea that it was maybe coming.
Sure.
But
anyway, all of that was
not being there. I was bawling.
Well, and then at the engagement party, then the sisters, and apparently people were throwing shade at Kendall online because Kendall was just like, do you feel bad for Scott?
And she's like, because you don't seem like you feel bad. Oh,
I loved it.
Do you have empathy for Scott's situation?
I loved it.
Here's the thing, though. I get it's complicated because with the kids not being there.
Right.
I did not agree with that. And that was, like I said, that upset me. As an outsider.
Kourtney too.
It upset Kourtney too. The mama was not happy. Mommy and daddy were not happy.
And you could tell the other sisters too were kind of like,
yeah, like what's going on? But for Kourtney to feel the pressure of
to take on his emotions,
to take on Scott's emotions when she took those on for years, when he was unfaithful, when he was, partying and getting into shit. And she's who Lord knows behind the scenes what's going on too. That's all that we saw.
Yeah.
And her having to carry that. Now it's like, oh, I'm finally happy now. And now you're all telling me like, do I care about Scott? It's like, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I know.
There's all that too, where you're like, he's not my responsibility. He's the father of my children. So like, we're going to keep it good. But like, he's not my responsibility. But then I get it from the other side too, where you're like, but he doesn't have this family. And it's so complicated. It's so family.
It's That's what makes this show good. That's what makes the Kardashians good, y'all. It's about family. It's about family. Watch it on Hulu. We're not getting paid, but you better fucking watch it.
I mean, it's again, we had a hater over here. Hi, hello, and I'm sucked in, and now I care about all this because I'm just like I'm just in so deep.
It's good. Well,
and
guys,
was my adrenaline through the roof when Kim was doing her SNL appearance? Yes. My adrenaline was coursing. Did I celebrate alone in my living room when she had a successful SNL experience? 1,000%.
Did you pop champagne when Kourtney and Travis got engaged? Yes.
I popped champagne.
Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. Is it customary for couples to just get to fuck in the doctor's office when they're doing IVF?
Oh. You're like, quick cue. I guess when you're at that level of fame, the whole world is your bedroom. You can pay for anything at this point. You're given enough privacy and security guards that they're like, no one's coming in this room.
But really, I was like, wait. And I would actually love to hear from people because I feel like that's not customary. I feel like normally the dude just has to jizz in a cup in a room, but literally they were like, here's lube and condoms. Just make sure no one else's fluid is on it.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's super normal. Maybe it's super customary. I don't know.
Customary.
It's customary.
It's a traditional.
I don't know.
But that, I was like,
I don't think so. I don't think so. But again, when you have that level of fame and money,
when you have a production crew, they're like, we're going to give you the works at this IVF
you're getting
clinic.
everything you want. You know what I mean? Wowzers.
But I couldn't believe that moment where she was just like, but what about my spit? What about his spit? And the girl's just like, no spit. Just collect the fucking semen sample. You don't have to choke on his dick, okay?
Oh, by the way,
Jesus.
I was like crying laughing at the scene when Kourtney, Khloe, and Kim have lunch together and they're talking about like Khloe's vagina, and the guys in the booth next to them are literally just like this. Like, are you not aware of what's the filming that's happening? I'm like, why didn't they move these guys? Why aren't these guys asked to move? It's the amount of money that's put into this production.
Rent out the fucking cafe. What are you doing?
And these guys are right there just like this. And also, why on all reality shows, like The Real Housewives, Kardashians, do they always take the time to show the exact orders of beverages and food that they get? I've never understood this. It doesn't make any sense. We'll have a Real Housewives episode that needs to explain so much tea, and they'll spend 10 minutes slowly going over the order of what every person gets to drink and eat.
That is so true. They do that.
Why?
They do that.
Why?
They do that. I'll have the iced tea.
I'd be like,
no,
I
honey,
need to know why, Lisa is freaking out at Kyle.
Do you think they're just trying to like, give you a
10
glimpse
minutes
into their lives, like with what they like to eat or drink? What is that about?
I'm like,
You're right.
there's so many other things that you could talk about, but they always show the exact orders. They always pause when they're at lunch and say, this is what I'm ordering to drink and this is what I'm ordering to eat, and they show the entire order. And they did that on this Kardashians episode too. They showed the entire order, and then once they got the food,
maybe restaurant promo. Maybe the restaurant's letting them film there, and the restaurant's paying.
But they're not saying the name often of the restaurant.
But they usually show it when they walk up.
Not
it's
always.
Like Philippe's or whatever. They zoom in on for a brief second.
But not always.
I don't know.
I don't understand it at all. There must be some psychological thing behind it There has to be. Why do they always do this?
I don't get it. I'm looking up right now. Sorry, I had to Google because I'm plagued with curiosity. Can you have sex in an IVF office?
Confirmation. But I'm just thinking.
I'm trying to see if anyone wrote an article after the show being like, no, you don't normally get to
sure.
Can't find anything, but anyway.
I don't know. I'm just that was what was plaguing my curiosity the whole time. I was just like, okay, this isn't just this isn't just a Real Housewives thing. They're now doing it on this show. They do it on other reality TV shows. Why? And then why, if that's the case, is The Bachelor not taking a clue and showing us what they order?
Because we don't eat real meals.
Right. I don't get it. It's too complicated for my brain.
Apparently people were getting mad that they were making inappropriate comments in front of the nurse at the hospital. It was very childish, I will say. I'm not going to go after them, but it was very childish. What about his spat? What about my
Yeah, that would have made me a little... I mean, well, it just depends on what mood I would be if I was one of the nurses.
And they're like
I'd either laugh about
other.
it or I'd be like, holy fuck, you guys. This is not... I did not say that I was okay with this when I said that I would appear on the show. I don't want to be in this scene anymore.
They're like giggling. Like, she was like, no, guys, no. Oh, man. Nope, nothing saying that whether or not you can have sex in an IVF office. Inconclusive. Please let us know.
Let us know. Well,
that
was a fun little recap.
Let's have Mystic Michaela on to talk about their auras.
Yes, Mystic Michaela. We're going to chat all the auras.
And we're having Amanda from Not Skinny But Not Fat on to talk about her interview with Kim Kardashian, which was fantastic. I would actually recommend going to listen. It was really, really good.
Yes.
I enjoyed it.
But before we bring Michaela on, should we chat for a moment here?
Yeah, we should.
Broads, listen. Drinking wine, it can be chill. It can be enjoyable. It can be relaxing. Shopping for wine, however, can be confusing, overwhelming, and kind of stressful. What's that about? I know a lot of people can relate to how I personally used to shop for wine, which is basically walk up and down the aisle a few times, get confused about what I want or what pairs well with dinner, pick out whatever bottle has the cutest label. The odds that I actually like what I picked out, about 50-50.
Yeah.
But since I signed up for First Leaf Wine Club, that method is a thing of the past. Thank goodness I'm finding wine that I love.
Yes, because First Leaf is a first of its kind wine club that tailors each delivery to your specific taste. How do they do that, you might ask? Well, you're going to start out by taking their online quiz. It helps the team at First Leaf learn about your taste preferences first, and then from your results, they build you a wine profile. They put together your shipments that you're guaranteed to love, and if you get something you're not obsessed with, First Leaf will actually credit your account for a brand new bottle, which is awesome. It's the easiest way to discover new wines.
I love First Leaf so much because up until now, I always thought I know what wines I liked, and that was the short list, right? But let me tell you, since taking their online quiz and building out my wine profile, I have been recommended so many new wines I would have never thought to try or even honestly known about. And now they're some of my new all-time favorites that I'll order regularly. It's amazing.
Sign up today and you'll get your first 6 bottles for $29.95 plus free shipping. Go to tryfirstleaf.com/chatty. That's tryfirstleaf.com/chatty to get your first 6 bottles for $29.95 plus free shipping. Tryfirstleaf.com/chatty.
So sunglasses, in my humble opinion, are the ultimate accessory. Like, buy a mile, throw them on when you're tired. No one will know. Put a cool pair on with a plain t-shirt and jeans. Suddenly your outfit is, top notch. Maybe people will think you're famous.
There you go.
Like when I was a child, you throw some sunglasses on with a baseball hat. Come on, it's beautiful. Of all the sunglass brands that I have tried, and trust me, there's been a lot. Right now, my favorite, from Southern California, it has to be Blenders.
Blenders was created by a San Diego surf instructor who just wanted to make super stylish, nice quality sunglasses that don't cost a freaking fortune. And thus, Blenders was born. And if you've ever tried to buy a pair of designer sunglasses, then you know they do not come cheap. And for what? So you can accidentally sit on them or lose them into the ocean or lose them to
Every
your
time.
curious toddler who snaps them in half? No. That's what makes Blenders great. You can expect the exact same quality and modern styles, but at a fraction of the cost. So when you do lose or break them, because we all do it, it stings a little less.
Thanks to the in-house design team at Blenders, there are constantly new modern designs and styles to choose from. Go for a wild, trend-forward pair like orange Polaroid wraparounds or tortoiseshell frames with colored lenses, or you can choose a more classic black or gold pair if that's more your style. Whatever you're into, Blenders has a pair of glasses for you. Check out their website. There are so many good options.
To score 15% off your Blenders purchase, visit blenderseyewear.com and enter promo code ChattyVIP. That's blenderseyewear.com, code ChattyVIP for 15% off. Blenders, rocked with pride worldwide.
And we are here with Mystic Michaela.
Join Mystic Michaela. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Oh, thank you so much for coming back. We had so much fun the last time that you were on the episode.
That was like years ago, I think, though. It was a long time.
It was a minute
It was a
ago.
while.
Yeah,
But
I think it was during stay-at-home orders, I think.
Like 2020.
Yeah.
Well, okay, different world now and also different stuff to go over. So we would love for you to kind of break down, first of all, so we know what the different aura colors are, because people don't even, or explain what's an aura too, and then the different colors. And then we'd love to have you go through all the main Kardashian players for this season. I know you're not watching, but we all keep up with the Kardashians on or off their Hulu show. So
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So auras, I see auras around people. It's like your energy signature. Even if you can't see the colors, you feel the vibe. So my big thing is teaching people how to identify it. And then when you understand that everybody has their individual vibe, their color vibe, or whatever you want to call it, it's just easier to deal with them and easier to understand them and easier to have relationships. So that's really the point of it. And auras, you can think of them as like personality types. And there's 5 main aura colors and like 3 kind of off-brand ones which show up. And usually people have a combination of 2. So, all right. So the 5 main aura colors are red, blue, yellow, purple, and green. So reds are like, do you want me to go through them all?
Sure.
Right, yeah. I'll go quick. So reds are like direct, assertive, like entrepreneurial, like take charge, natural instinct, leader types. Blues are naturally empathic, really compassionate, good listeners, thoughtful givers. Yellows are super organized, to-do list junkies, like extremely curious, love direct, honest communication. Purples are your creative, intuitive rebels who crave change and artistic outlets. I memorize these. Like these are like Greens are your logical and intellectual. They're like detailed, oriented thinkers. They crave passion in projects where they can grow and challenge themselves. And then there's turquoise, indigo, and pink. And this comes up in the Kardashian thing, so especially for the pink. But turquoises are like compassionate, old soul healers. And they're like mirrors, they're like reflectors. So they're really cool. Like they'll become the person they're trying to show in an attempt to reveal that other person to them. Indigos are just, it's like blue times 100. So they're like very absorbent people, and they take in everybody's stuff. And usually because of that, they can only do like one-on-one interactions for a short amount of time. And then finally, pinks. Pinks are like optimistic, pure, loving, innocent energies. They tend to be labeled by society often as naive or foolish, but really they're kind of like kids. And I'll see a lot of pink kids, but not a lot of pink adults, which brings me to Kim Kardashian. So that must be right there.
Okay.
She's a pink. Yeah, she's a pink. So how I see Kim is this year, it hasn't been even a year since she divorced Kanye or something. She's been so stepping into her power, I feel. Mm-hmm. And so pink auras generally, other pink auras like Marilyn Monroe, which is interesting that she chose that dress for the Met Gala. And
interesting.
Like Britney Spears is a pink, oh my gosh, like pinks are usually Cardi B's a pink, usually very attacked by society. And they're usually very, they get told that they're using their femininity in the wrong ways. That happens a lot with pink auras. And so I saw this year with her, instead of fading into the background and letting other people tell her what to do, or I guess be more quiet about things. We've been seeing her using her voice a lot more,
right?
And being more sovereign energetically. And I feel like with Kim, it's just been awesome to see that, because she's now being like, yes, I know what you're saying, but also here's what I think. Pink auras have an ability to understand what everybody sees and says about them. So she's very smart. It's just they'll choose not to pay attention to something if they don't want to. Kind of like a kid. Like, we have kids where like, when they're like, I'm not paying attention to that.
Right.
And I feel like, and pink auras tend to be good at that. And I feel like she can be good at that. And she's interesting too, because most people are true colors. With Kim, this is just how I see it. I see her borrowing colors sometimes, which is rare. So lately I've been seeing her borrow a little yellow. So she feels like she's been, I don't know, taking on organizing her own life, maybe stepping away from Chris a little bit in some ways, in terms of self-managing and doing things how she wants to do it. And I see her borrowing purple a bit. And I feel like she's taking it from Pete. So that's kind of my estimate. Kim's been fascinating to me.
Okay, so you said that you see a lot of pink children, but not a lot of pink adults. So can you change auras throughout your life, in your opinion?
Well, society kicks us all.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. What I noticed was when I was seeing auras is I would see things a certain way, but not always know why. And so what I realized is after doing thousands of readings and just really paying attention to it, reflecting, is trauma can change your aura. So
Okay.
For example, I mean, not to get like extremely heavy, but like I would see people who've gone through intense childhood abuse or especially in childhood, a lot of situational things like that. Like they'd be completely different color as a kid, aura-wise, than they were as an adult because they had to grow up quick, or they had to take care of siblings, or they had to do something so that they would have to be invisible to their abusers or something like that. So and then you just can't get rid of that when you get to be an adult. So I see with pink aura kids, society tells you, and even as parents, without even meaning to, we can be like, stop that, pay attention. Because pink kids put up a wall a lot and play like imagination with themselves. And it's fine when they're little, but when they're 12, 13, 14 doing that, you're like, hey, stop. That's not how it works. Or you can't go out looking like that, or you have to do this, or you have to participate, or you have to call them, make them feel better, or like whatever we tell them to do. It can kind of just warp their aura a bit. Also, pink auras in society get a lot of shame and a lot of, like I said, especially with the girls, like they're not allowed to use their femininity as themselves. So they get like slut shamed a lot and told that the way, if you just even look at Britney, I mean, on her Instagram, with her photos, it's like people are like, they go after it. And it's kind of like, okay, what is this really about? Like, why do people care so much that she can't just be herself? Or I found it really fascinating with the Marilyn Monroe dress that Kim K wore, back when Marilyn Monroe wore that, and she was a pink, she got told all sorts of horrible things about herself for wearing a dress like that back then. And now it's like suddenly this piece of American history. And, how dare Kim wear it? So no matter what, somebody, a pink aura, they were getting slammed for wearing a dress. It's just interesting to me how that works. But yes, back to your question, Becca, sorry. You can change it with trauma. Can change your aura.
Okay.
So when you were seeing Kim, a few years ago, was her pink just like not as bright? Was she borrowing other colors as well? Like how you are kind of seeing a little bit now, or like when you're saying it's so vibrant now, is that kind of the difference?
Yes, exactly. I was seeing it more evaporated, more light, and pink aura people, they'll shut out and kind of go into themselves and let other people tell them what to do. So they have like kind of a bird in a gilded cage situation going on. And her stepping out of that, for me, I just see her aura getting brighter, but we all see it and we all notice her and we all feel her vibe kind of strengthening. But back then, she was way more of somebody I feel like with less confidence in herself and needed other people to tell her how to act and what to do.
It's so interesting that you're saying that, because there's a scene, I know you said you haven't been watching the new Hulu show, but there's a scene in one of the episodes where she is hosting SNL and she's so nervous about it, but it's kind of her big step into doing this big thing that she never thought she could do. And I noticed the entire time she wore pink head to toe, top and bottom the whole time, like for the rehearsals, when she did the photo shoot for the performance and for the after party, she was in pink head to toe the entire time. Whoa. And that seemed like her big transition moment in the show.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, like that makes sense. Yeah, she did so good hosting as well.
Oh, she was fantastic.
Such a great job. That was fun.
Okay, so now since we're just in her vicinity, I'm curious, what about North? What about her oldest daughter? Because there's already so much just swirling around online.
Let me find her picture.
Yeah, find her picture. Because already there's so
yeah.
much conversation about even their dynamic and relationship as like a mother and daughter, like so much more than any of the other kids. And she's interesting.
The firstborn.
Yeah,
Okay.
but also her in particular is...
she's a strong energy. Okay. So when I look at North, and I love reading kids because they're so authentic and pure, you know. So anyway, so when I look at North, she's got a very strong purple aura. So, and like I said, I don't watch the show. This is just what I'm getting from her picture. She just feels like she definitely has a voice and it's supported. And I feel like she's somebody who definitely speaks her mind. She feels very smart. She is blue too, but I think she absorbs a lot of, there's green in her. So I think Kanye is green and purple. So I feel like she absorbs a lot of Kanye and that green energy, which is when I have an idea, I have to believe in it 100% and make it happen. So you'll have to tell me if that's how it's playing out on the show, because she feels like she can be very feisty, but also someone who tells her mom kind of how to do things and what to do and gives her a lot of feedback, but feels pretty confident about it. This one is definitely...
Yeah, that's North, I think. At least from what it seems like.
We're like, that's North.
I'm like, I have no idea.
No, but like in the media, like Kim always talks about how North will be like, no, Mom, we're not all wearing black for the photo shoot. Like, that looks stupid. Why are you doing that?
Her strong opinions.
Kim always talks about how she's like that. How she'll tell her how to dress and like how she'll get mad. Or like there's just even like little clips that have been leaked on the internet where like Kim's doing a tutorial or something and she'll be like, and she's like 6 and she's like, Mom, why don't you get off your phone and hang out with your kids? Like knowing that her mom is like on live with the world, like just kind of fucking with her, but like keeping her in check. Like,
yeah, that's great that they support her to like be herself and she feels loved enough to say those things. And
yeah, true.
That's great. And it actually shows me what a great mom Kim is because she listens to her kids and she doesn't, tell them, sure, don't do this or don't be fake or don't be anybody else than who you are. So I think that that's wonderful. No, but watch her. She's going to be another one. She's going to be another one and another one of the Kardashian crew that stands out. And I can see her too also being very, and I don't know what this means, but just with her, I think just with the Kardashians, they all kind of have a look where they all kind of go for the similar aesthetic. I can see this one, North, going against that. And doing something completely differently, which is interesting.
Okay, wait. So you said Kanye's is green and purple.
He's green and purple. Green purples tend to be now. This where it gets a little sensitive because I feel like he does have issues.
Sure.
So when I do readings, I'm very respectful of. There's a psychological thing that it's very separate from the aura thing.
Sure.
So this is just the aura thing.
Sure.
He's green and purple. Green purples tend to be amazing visionaries. And by the way, colors don't mean bad or good. They just kind of are a filter for how you act. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so green purples tend to be really great visionaries. He's way more green than purple. And this is where meaning he can be very stubborn because green people have a tendency to have, the 10 commandments of how this is supposed to be in their head. And it's more or less everybody getting on their page. They don't go on to other people's page. And they're really good with creating logic to support whatever they believe their 10 commandments of themselves are and how they see things. If you have things off with you or whatever, that can be very difficult to deal with. So that combination is a really volatile one, but I see it so much in Hollywood, in that industry, because those people have amazing ideas, amazing visions, amazing ability to carry them out, and people care. What's interesting is Pete is green and purple too, but he's more purple than green. So it's like an opposite.
Interesting.
Okay, talk about that. Talk about Pete's then with the more purple.
So Pete is more purple. Purples tend to be, purples are very honest. Here I am, spontaneous, and artistic, and all the things I think we see with Pete. I feel like the difference between it is he's very vulnerable and he's ready to admit where he's at. So I feel like with Pete, it's like he'll say exactly how he's feeling. He's honest about his emotions. If you call him out on something, he's like, yeah, totally. He's not as rigid because the green isn't as much. It's there, but it's not driving the bus as purple is, which purples can be a little self-destructive. So that can be tough, but I feel like he has an awareness of it at this point. And I do get that, like with Pete, just with all that purple, he feels very good with women. So, and just purple guys are great with women, I think, because they just they're okay with emotions. They're more comfortable in themselves with that. They want to know the 411 about what's going on. They kind of have more of that alignment to that type of vibe. So I feel like he fits in well with the family in that way. And also he doesn't need to lead as much as maybe Kanye did. Not to compare them because it is apples and oranges. It's just interesting that like she picked the same color combo. It's just totally opposite.
Swapped. Yeah. How do purples and pinks? Do you see that as a couple combination often?
Or greens. Or greens and pinks, yeah.
Greens and pinks, yeah, Becca. Like that is something that I see often because pinks look for more of a stable ground sometimes. And in the past, yeah, she definitely looked for that. And who was that guy? I'm putting you guys on the spot now because I forget his name too. She was married to him for like a day.
Chris Humphries?
Yeah, Chris Humphries.
He was really green too. She looks for, like, I feel like she definitely has a type, but now she's going for it in more of a vulnerable way, which is better. But pinks and greens do well together. Pinks and purples, that's interesting. Like, I feel like her and Pete are having a wonderful time together. And to me, I mean, it makes sense because I feel like they make me happy when I see them. And I feel like that's just me kind of picking up. And we all probably feel that way. You kind of picking up like, all right, I think this is nice. They're having nice times together.
Yes,
they're
totally.
It's sweet.
Yeah.
And it feels pure. And it just feels like that's what they were both looking for. Safety and security and realness in this crazy, weird world that's probably not that real. And they kind of connected that way. So I think they're having a lot of fun without a ton of talks about what could this be or what's next or how do we market this? Like, I don't see that conversation happening as much because he's not as green. Yeah. So that's kind of how I get it moving forward.
Okay. So on the flip side, let's talk about Kourtney and Travis and Scott.
Oh, Scott. I don't know. I always feel so bad.
That's how everyone feels about Scott. I don't know a single person who's like, fuck Scott. You know, everyone's kind of like, oh, Scott. Yeah, Scott.
Yeah, for him. Okay, so Kourtney is interesting. So she's purple and blue, like you ladies. And
we're both purple and blue?
You're both purple and blue. You wear it different, but you're both purple and blue. I mean, and like I say this with the auras, it's kind of like a sweater. Like if I wear a sweater, you wear a sweater, we're all gonna look different in it.
Yeah. Okay.
So you get it. Okay. So back to Kourtney. All right. So she's purple blue now because of how she is. I feel like for a lot of her life, she was putting the blue away. Okay. So blue is like vulnerable. You feel everything, kind of like feelings bubbling to the surface to the extent where I feel like she couldn't deal with her own feelings for a really long time because she had to survive. She had all those kids in a row with a guy who was limited and had his issues.
That's a really nice way of saying it.
Yeah.
Limited.
And she had to push it aside. And I think a lot of us, people listening, have been through that times in our lives when we couldn't afford to be sentimental about things. And it's not coming across, it can come across as cold, but it's not, it's survival. And I feel, and she had like this purple shield up for a very long time. So she would see everything happening, but just like watching a movie, like I see it happening, but it's not happening to me. I feel like she had to look at her life like that for a really long time to get through it. But then now that she's with Travis, her blue aura is coming out again in a more balanced way, meaning I feel like she just feels safe where she can have feelings or let her guard down without worrying that Travis is just going to like lose it, or she doesn't have to worry about her partner as much, basically. So she's more of herself now with Travis, and it's really nice to see it. And it's really nice to see her feel safe enough to I guess, explore both sides of herself, which I don't know if she's been able to do that for a while. But Scott, he is purple blue too, but he would wear like an inauthentic green. I'll see people wear inauthentic green or inauthentic colors when they feel like they can't be
okay,
themselves.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get with him. Well, first of all, it's very hard to be a purple blue guy because society and gender is like a whole thing with auras. And if you're emotional and sensitive and a man, your whole life you can be told you're wrong or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe perhaps he never developed the coping skills necessary to deal with who he was and is. Anyways, him and Kourtney, to me, always feel like twin flame energy, which I have to define because there's a lot of that word going around. And
I always hear that word. I'm never like quite sure what the...
I have my own definition because like I'm limited in language. Like I'd love to make up my own word for it. What it is to me, just because people took it. I think there was like a cult or something with
yes, there was. I listened to the podcast series on it.
I was like really scared. I'm like, I need to get a new word because that's not what it is.
We gotta change it.
Yeah. To me, it's like a relationship you develop major spiritual awakening from, but not one that necessarily lasts.
Oh,
so I feel like
interesting.
her and Scott, they love each other and they're always going to love each other. And they always have that space in each other's heart for one another. And they did amazing lessons. They learned amazing lessons together and they had to level up together.
Yeah.
And it's painful to watch, but also kind of bittersweet. Yeah. And I can see that, like, she's moved forward in her spiritual journey and he feels a little more stuck. And so I always I feel bad for him because I feel like he just needs a lot of nurturing.
Yeah.
And and I don't feel like anybody, I don't watch the show, like I said, and I'm sure he's done some stuff, but I definitely feel like it's hard to stay mad at him because he owns up to it and says he's just wounded. But yeah, they always have like a twin flame vibe to me. So I can see him being very sad that she's kind of moved on a bit. Yeah. So I wonder, does everybody pick that up who watches it?
Well, what's interesting is like you see, and I was just thinking as you were saying this, I was sort of wanting a season like, well, where's his family? Because one of the big themes of this season is he's like, I'm afraid I'm going to lose you guys as like my family. And I just kind of get the sense that his family is like not in the picture.
I have to double check, and I'm saying this completely out of pocket, but I think both of his parents passed away and he was an only child, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
So I think, again, I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's like very much alone.
So it's almost like he just needs like you're saying, nurturing, like he needs a family to like be there for him and support him, which it seems like her family has done. But obviously there's like, what you're seeing in the show play out is like, how do we navigate these boundaries between being respectful of like our sister and her new relationship while also being like compassionate to this person that we love, who's been a part of our lives for years and obviously still is because they have kids together. But anyway.
I think the reason why I always like the Kardashians is even though they have this ridiculously large public platform that they definitely use to their most advantageous moment they can. They're very, I feel, real in a way where that relationship they have with Scott does not feel only for the camera. So I definitely, and I think we've all had, maybe some of us come from families like that. It's hard they don't throw people away that easily.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got that vibe from them. They seem that way. And isn't Chloe very close to him?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You see that playing out on the season. Okay. Talk about Travis real quick with Kourtney. Because what's Travis's aura? So
another green purple guy. So Travis is green purple too. And I was talking about this because green purples have a thing with tattoos because everyone was all freaked out that Pete got that tattoo. Did you like in the news or whatever?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just how green purple guys are. They're just like, whatever, like that's just not a big deal to them. Like,
but do they like to do over the top things? Because like you see Travis doing over the top things, Pete getting tattoos. You remember Kanye with the flowers on the everything like that.
Yeah, that's the thing with green purple guys. They have this ridiculous. They have this over the top showmanship about things. And because they're visionaries, they're usually really good with directing, producing, creating.
Well, I was going to say, these are also all three guys who are extremely successful, top of the top in their industries. So I was wondering if that's kind of a popular thing.
They've made a career out of their messes in a way, and a career out of their artistry, or whatever you want to call their chaos, or it's interesting. We're watching, so it worked. But what was your question?
Okay, so he's a green purple though.
Yeah, so he's green purple too. He feels very balanced. He used to wear a lot of inauthentic blue, which he shed being with her. Meaning, I feel like I'm not one to diagnose anybody, obviously, but sometimes I'll see that if people are going through tough times, or they're sad, or they have slumps in their life, or whatever you want to call it. So I feel like with him, he's bright. He feels very purposeful around her, and he feels like new lease on life. She's I like them because I feel like she pushes him to go out and create again. And in an industry that can age you out very quickly, I feel like she has been like, no, like, let's reinvent yourself. And I encourage you to, and I support you to, which for a green is extremely important. Greens constantly need projects. I always make fun of like green dads because they're always in the garage, or they're always like fixing something, or it's the same thing, but he's an artist. So he needs projects. So I feel like she pushes him and encourages him, and he's really grown, and he's shinier than he used to be. So that's good. I feel like he's also a pragmatic person, and Kourtney appreciates that. So I feel like he isn't stupid about money, and he wants to create a legacy, and he wants to shore up things and make wise decisions. So I feel like she appreciates his practical nature and his down to earth, I guess, vibe about things. Even he doesn't seem showy to me, is what I'm trying to say. I feel like he likes what he likes, but he doesn't feel over the top. Maybe she appreciates that. Even though then I say these things, and then these like e-news snippets pop in my head. Like, didn't they do those like ridiculous like Halloween photos or something? That, like,
yes.
They're still Kardashians, but like, it's like when you're in the family, you got to.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Kourtney. Okay, that's all them. Now I'm gonna edit it a little bit because Kylie and Kendall aren't really in this season at all. So I want to hear about Khloe and Kris.
Khloe, and who's she with now?
She's still on and off with Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if they're together at the moment, but I know it's pretty on and off.
Confusing, yeah.
Khloe, every time I look at, I feel like a lot of us relate to Khloe hard, and I feel like on the flip side, that's why she gets so much hate, which I hate, because Khloe's very blue, like very. And she's the type that she will take in energy just to nurture it and fix it, no matter what it does to her. It's kind of like rescuing the dogs, and the dog bites you, and it's like, oh, it's not its fault, like that. Like, she's so selfless to the point of putting herself on the back burner to lift up other people. And so when I see her in these relationships over and over again where people hurt her like that, I just see, and she's so defensive of them. And so still, after everything happened to her, caring towards them, it's because she can identify somebody's inner child like very easily. And I'm not saying that's healthy. I'm just saying that's what I see her do. And I feel like a lot of us have done that in our lives, and we don't like ourselves in those times. Like, looking back, maybe when we've done that ourselves. And I feel like sometimes she'll get hate from people actually hating on themselves from when they did that in their own lives. It makes me kind of sad for her, because she tends to, I feel like, bring up people's shadows a bit because of what she puts up with. Anyways, so she's so blue. She's got purple too, but she's mostly blue. And she feels like she's incredibly protective of her family and anybody that she brings in and calls family. So that's what I see with her. And then Kris fascinates me because she's red and purple.
Fascinates us all.
All of us.
And
she's red and purple?
Yes.
Okay.
So red purples, other notable red purples, like J-Lo is red purple. who else? Megan Thee Stallions, Red Purple. Okay, so Red Purple women, they're used to being told, like, you can't do that. So they just go extra. They go hard on it. Mm-hmm. And so Red is like leader, entrepreneurial, say what you mean, business mind. How do we make the most out of that? And Purple, again, creative, artistic, spontaneous. So, but usually like the combination of that, I call it like the rock star and the army sergeant vibe merging. She just, I mean, she's the momager. Like, obviously she's everything she's done. And I feel like even if they get mad at her, she's like, well, here's my reasons why. And, you know, love it or don't, but I did it because she can give logic behind it and show you why. And it's hard to argue with her if it made you money or leveled you up or got this opportunity. That's where she's coming from. But I feel like everything with her is an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when she shuts a door, it's done with her. Like she'll open a little peephole if you got something interesting, but it's closed. You know, I feel like she's very good at censoring and protecting the family from stuff that won't benefit them, but also letting enough stuff in limitedly that will, even though it can seem a little bit, I guess, to us, especially us as mothers, we're like, ooh, why? That.
Exactly.
So it's just the Red Purple mom. They all seem to deal with it in their different ways. I feel like Chris, works with, I think it works. I think they still talk to her because she'll own it. I do believe that. Like, and you'll have to tell me because you watch the show. I feel like if they're like, Mom, you did this, it upset me or whatever. Like, oh, sorry. Yes, I did. This is why I did it. Okay. You know, she doesn't deny. I don't think she's denying anything. So I think that helps at least.
Uh-huh.
It definitely seems that way.
Yeah, they just have their own little flow going on over there that I don't know or understand of. I don't think any of us do. They've got their thing going, and it's working. Lord knows it's working.
It's working. It's hard to relate to them on some levels because to be a family like that, you have to put yourself out there in ways that we could never understand.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so one last one. Could you just give us a refresher of our auras real quick? Because I don't even. Because when you said we're both blue purple, I'm like, I don't even remember that or like what that means. Do just us real quick.
Oh yeah, of course. All right. Well, even it's been a few years, so our shades change, like where we're putting our energy changes. So that can kind of update it. That's why I like to look at people's when I do readings. I'll be like, oh, can I have a picture from a few years ago from a kid? You know, just to see how you morphed or what's going on today.
Sure.
So I'll start with you, Jess. All right. So you're purple blue, but your blue is very deep. I feel like, because it's kind of, I have my own word. It's called blue-to-go. It's like indigo and blue mushed together. And that just means, especially since I saw you last, I feel like you've just been inward spiritual searching, finding opening the throat chakra, finding your voice.
We literally just had a podcast that's going to be coming out next week. We were talking about the spiritual diving. So you nailed.
Totally.
And so all that, and really finding, I feel like your own voice and bouncing off, because you're so absorbent of the energy around you, Jess. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's been really important for you to take it into consideration, consider sources, and then also check in with yourself. Mm-hmm. And that differentiation between all the energies coming in around you environmentally and the ones inside of you. I mean, that feels very powerful, and it feels like you've been doing a lot of work. So good job. Mm-hmm. And
that's definitely what's been going on.
It's not, spiritual journeys are things people don't often see. They happen inside of us. We feel like we're messy. We feel like we're going through all sorts of stuff, and people around you might not even know what you're going through. And that's true. And it's all happens on the inside. And with you, I just see it in your aura, and it looks really beautiful. And you got your purple too. It's sparkly. It's there. You're creative. You got your artistic flair. I feel it's funny because I feel like you went through some sort of I don't know how else it's like adolescent purple phase. What does that mean? I feel like you go through little phases with your purple. Oh, I think they go along with your daughter. okay, because I feel like as your daughter, how old's your daughter again?
She's 6.
Okay. I feel like your purple will kind of go along line with her. So if she's into makeup or something, you're like, oh yeah, let's start there. Like, or if she's into like, I like barrettes. You're like, let's do it. Like, I feel like you'll dive into her vibe so that you can relate to her and play with her and get into that. And you're like, oh, I love that. So I just noticed that in your aura, which I think is super sweet that you do that.
Thank you.
Okay, Miss Becca. Nice. All right. So your purple blue too. Your purple's naturally a bit stronger, which is your way of protecting yourself. You're very good at seeing other people, seeing the big picture, seeing intentions. You're both, I always say this, everyone's intuitive. You just have to work on it. Every single person is, and some people kind of naturally understand that about themselves more than others. Becca, I feel like you always have understood that about yourself, that you're just naturally intuitive. And I get that. What's interesting in your aura, it's a bit, because the purple's a little reflective right now. I get that. And this is getting a little personal, so I hope this is okay.
No, get personal.
Dig deep.
All right. I feel like you've had to do some cutting around you of who's allowed in. And that's okay. Because when people don't understand you and when people don't see where you're coming from, there's only so much explaining you can do. After that, just like, I'm sorry that I'm done now. You know, like that, then please go a little bit.
Nope. That's cutting up. Those are not close people in my life. That's audience shit where it's like, you know,
wow.
And that's where it's like, you know, with the purple thing, like you're saying, protective. It's like, nope, sorry. You're not going to fuck with me and I'm not going to put up with it. And I'm going to do and say what I want. And you're going to have to deal with it or leave. And
that's
I'm not
really
going to apologize.
Well, that's hard that you went through that. I'm sorry. I feel like people that don't understand you and you've explained it to them and they still don't understand you, it's like, okay, then you can go. Like, please, you know, because are you here to engage or are you here to hate on me? Because that's a different thing if you're here to hate on me. That's like an activity you need to go check in yourself. Like, so that's interesting. And I think that that's your way of maybe even showing people and reflecting back on them. That's interesting that your purple's reflective, like reflecting back on them. Like, what is your need to troll? Like that at this point? You already made your point. Why are you still here? Like that. So people don't like to see themselves in that in that light. So that can be difficult. I also feel like when that happens, you need to like take time and heal. And I feel like you're trying to do that too. So it's kind of like putting an aura band-aid on. Healing inside, and then you'll be back at like full throttle when you feel safe enough too, and that's okay. But you're honest about it. You got a bit of the Kourtney thing going on. Like, remember I always said Kourtney had her little shield up for years, and then it's not as much as that, but like, you know, that. So I love it though. It's very honest, and I like that you articulate it because not everybody can do that.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And I feel like in my personal life, I'm focusing so much on just like a lot of like compassion and love and focusing on all those things, which is then kind of funny because there's always the public thing where it's like, Becca's a cunt. Who doesn't? Oh, trim that. I'm going to get censored on YouTube.
Oh, we can't say that.
You know?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I actually don't know.
Oh, I don't know either.
I think you're okay.
But it's like, you know, Becca's a bitch. She doesn't give a fuck about it. It's like, no, actually, I do. And you're not a part of that circle that I'm focusing on right now in my life or on my own personal growth. So yeah, I love that. Love that.
Yeah,
really
so it's interesting. Like everyone's aura kind of reflects like what they're going through right now, what their journeys or personal transformations are.
Yeah. Like Jess and I, we were just having a conversation literally last week when we were recording. We were just kind of like, I've been thinking about how like this is me and this isn't me. And like in getting real about like clarifying like, well, this is who I am.
Yeah. Just kind of like it's interesting that then you're saying when you're like looking at the auras that there's been shifts in certain ways because it's definitely been like a recent conversation like Becca was saying where it's kind of like, okay, I think when you're talking about like my deep blue that for a long time that I think my deep blue was judged a lot not intentionally, but just, whatever community that I was in. And so I felt shame to be the deep blue. So I would try to act. I think I remember in our last episode, you made a comment, you looked at like my Instagram and you said something like, I see like a fake red going on right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's because maybe my family and the people around me, it's like, oh no, you have to be that, you got to be that bitch that doesn't care what people think. And I'm like,
that's like a protective method too, right?
Exactly.
And
It's
so
like
you're
just-
receiving it from people. So you're like,
right. And people are always like, it doesn't matter what people think. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah. I'm going to be that person. And then I've come to face the reality. It's like, no, that's not who I am. And that's okay. Like, I just have to understand where my boundaries are. But like, I'm never going to be the girl that's just like, suck it. I don't care what you think. That's just not who I am. Like,
No.
I can't be that person.
You do care. That's okay. And that's okay that you care.
yeah,
And that's a strength that what you're just saying, I call it, it's that there's like an awareness to yourself and that, and saying like, I feel things so deeply that I can't do this and I can do that.
Right.
And saying it out loud and deal with it or don't like, but this is how you hurt me, or this is too much for me right now, or my heart is so heavy, the energy's so hard for me right now. I can't.
Yeah.
And then if somebody really has something to say after that, it's like, wow, there's something wrong with you because I just laid it all out for you.
yeah,
And there's such power in
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is so much fun. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for coming on. Okay, please plug away. You have an amazing podcast and Instagram. Everyone needs to follow.
Yeah, you can find me at Mystic Michaela, and my podcast is Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela. Thank you so much,
Aura.
Broads. I love you guys.
Thank
I love
you.
you.
We love you, Michaela. Mwah. And Broads will chat soon.
Chat soon.